Speaking to the Boston Herald, Tom Brady's personal trainer, Alex Guerrero, had this to say about Bill Belichick. It was like Bill never really, I think his emotions or feelings never evolved with age. I think in time with Tom, as Tom got into his late 30s, early 40s, I think Bill was still trying to treat him like that 20-year-old kid that he drafted. And all the players, I think, realized Tom was different. He's older, so he should be treated differently. And all the players, none of them would have cared if he was treated differently. I think that was such a Bill thing. He never evolved. You can't treat someone who's in his 40s like they're 20. It doesn't work. All right, great to have NFL analyst Louis Riddick and insider Jeff Darlington joining the show. What's going on, guys? Louis, you played under Bill Belichick. What do you make of these comments?
Yeah, I'm not really surprised by them in terms of how people perceive Bill and how he conducts himself as far as holding his team accountable as a group and holding individual players accountable. He really is someone who drives a hard bargain. He doesn't give too many people any margin for error, and it really doesn't matter, whether or not you're a 10, 15, 20-year tenured vet or you're the undrafted rookie free agent. I saw him do it personally when we were in Cleveland. It's something that constantly keeps people on edge and keeps people motivated and keeps people, wondering, or rather, I guess I should say worrying to some degree about their job status. But you know what? Sometimes fear is a great motivator. Not always for everyone, but sometimes it is. And it really has yielded some great results for him in New England. Now, that being said, with Tom Brady, I do think there is some room for you to adjust and start to, while you're treating everyone fairly, you're not treating everyone the same. And Tom probably, it's not probably, he earned the right to be treated differently based on what his resume was. And I could totally see why someone who's like the ultimate alpha, one of the ultimate competitors in the history of sports, period, how someone could push back against that or bristle when that would continue to happen to him and look for a change. That doesn't shock me at all. But look, he lasted for 20 years up there, and they won a lot of games.
It's hard to tell someone with a worldview, a consistent philosophy, say like Bill Belichick, no, keep doing that, but just over here make an exception when part of their philosophy is no exceptions.
Good point.
But we did see Tom Coughlin evolve and win Super Bowls as a result. It looked like, Jeff, you had us all glued the entire way with your reporting on Brady's exit from New England. Do these comments kind of coincide with what you were hearing at the time?
They absolutely coincide. And I think that it's important to have a distinction here that if this is the way that Tom Brady feels, that's one thing. And ultimately, perhaps that is in part what led him out of New England, the feeling that, look, I'm a 40-year-old man now. It's not that I'm Tom Brady, greatest of all time. That's not the way that Tom thinks or expects to be treated. It's instead, I'm a 40-year-old man with children, with a wife, and you're still treating me and talking to me as if I'm a child. But put that aside. I mean, if we're talking about, I think Lou's going to be surprised right here because I'm going to defend Belichick for a second here too. Sometimes, this is what ultimately did motivate Brady for so long, that Belichick knew how to get under his skin a little bit. And look, I'm not suggesting that that's the reason for Brady's greatness, but this was a match that worked for so long. And we're going to spend the next week dissecting the divorce, but ultimately there was still 20 years of just absolute success, unprecedented success. And part of that is the fact that Bill Belichick has a way of motivating people that maybe the person themselves doesn't understand until perhaps they can sort of look back on it years later.
I'll defend Bill too, because I'll tell you this, during my time in Cleveland, I had many sleepless nights, man, where I'll tell you what, my girlfriend, who's my wife now, used to say to me, why are you staying up so late at night? You need to get to bed. She goes, why do you seem so restless? And I'd be like, you know what? Because I missed this play or missed this check or didn't do this right, and I'm just dreading seeing Bill tomorrow. I mean, that's a true story. I'm dreading seeing him tomorrow because I know he's going to hold me accountable for it in a way that, but you know what? I wouldn't change any of that. None of it. Because it made me better in my career, and it's made me better in life, period. I wouldn't change any of it, although it can wear on you. It's not for everyone.
Louis just said, Tom Brady's not confirming or denying, saying, make up your mind. I've made up my mind. It's all true. I mean, or you would deny it. It's obviously true. What do you think about Brady's response?
It is all true, by the way, to be clear. Like and for years it has been. And people, when this was happening in New England, and for instance, if I would say something about it, or any reporter would say it, you'd get kind of shouted down because the Belichick way that Tom Brady did subscribe to, the Patriot way, was to keep that stuff all in-house for so long that if it leaked out at all, people just shouted it down. There was truth to a lot of it. And look, what Lewis is saying right now, you think back to Bill Parcells, one of Belichick's great mentors. In the early 80s, Parcells ultimately decided, you know what, I don't care what the players think about me. I got to do it my way, and I might not make friends along the way doing it. And I would be willing to bet that at some point Belichick, maybe in his memoirs, will confess to exactly that he just decided at some point that, you know what, they might not like me for it, but ultimately, it's the way that I'm
30 for 30 is coming that's confirming all of this. I mean, come on, let's be honest. The great sports debate these guys got together at the turn of this century, the great sports debate of the 21st century is, was it more Brady or Belichick? Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.